Hey fam. So late last night, I came across a video on my YouTube feed by Forbes that said collectively, the billionaires in this country have lost about $415 billion since the inauguration, which is very inspiring. I highly suggest you go find that Forbes video yourself because they break down in the video like the specifics of like which billionaire has lost however much individually, and it might give you a little, you know, a little happy moment there when we desperately need happy moments. We need the small wins as much as the big ones, right? So, I wanted to talk a bit in this video about steps that I have already been taking to kind of squeeze these big corporations. I've had people tell me multiple times in my life, try to explain to me the difference between capitalism and crony capitalism. And, you feel free to disagree with me. I'm sure plenty of people will. But I just don't really see a difference. Not in my entire life, and maybe my entire life we've been in crony capitalism. But the fact is it seems like it kind of always leads to the problem we're at now, where there's like five big companies that own like everything, and they're gonna just continue to cannibalize each other. We already know this. This is just kind of how things work. So and the reason I personally am not a big fan of that is because if someone owns everything, that means they control everything, including our own lives. And I actually believe in freedom. I actually believe that, I don't want anyone telling me what to do or how to live my life, and I will never be doing that to other people. So yeah, let's talk about this. So obviously Elon Musk has lost the most of all of the oligarchs so far. I think a huge part of that is because he's been boycotted pretty much all over the world. When you when you be trying to tamper in everyone else's governments, and doing whatever you want, and then also publicly come out as a schnazi, like what do you expect people to do? Honestly, he's a terrible businessman, clearly, because all right. Anyway, so he has lost the most. I'll be honest, I was never going to buy a Tesla anyway. That said, keep up the boycotts, keep informing people, keep making sure that, we stay on that. I would personally like for, by the end of all this, for Musk to be penniless and on the streets. Frankly, not even on the streets. I think that he should be sent to Guantanamo. That's just my personal opinion. According to his own brother, he came here illegally. So, seems fair to me. But I also don't think that we're squeezing Bezos hard enough. Now, we've known for a long time that Amazon is a horrible company. We know that they're terrible to their employees. They are completely unethical in their business practices. But in the last week, we found out that Alexa will now be listening in, if you have an Alexa, will now be listening into and recording all of your conversations for the purposes of training their AI. It's deeply disturbing to me how many things are kind of sliding under the radar under the guise of training AI. How many unethical practices. Because I also want to talk about Meta here in a second. I believe it was Meta that is also trying to train their AI. So they went ahead and stole thousands of books, whether by famous authors or first-time authors or whatever, and that kind of stuff hits close to home. As someone who wants to be a published author one day myself, I'm not a fan of one of the richest men on the planet using his company to steal my work when it's out there. So, yeah, I'm also pissed off at Meta for that. So, that's kind of the second half. I'll get back to that in a second. First off, boycott Amazon. I promise it is not hard to do. Maybe for some people, at the very least, you can go with the buy, nothing non-essential for the next 18 months or whatever, right? Or at least, I think honestly forever, just if you don't have to use it, don't use it. And I promise it's not that hard. I barely used it before COVID hit in 2020. And, going back to not using it, I like barely notice. I honestly don't even have to remind myself anymore. At this point, it's been like a couple months now, and I don't even have to remind myself like, oh, don't buy it on Amazon. Like, it's not even a thing. I just go get it elsewhere. So you won't miss it, and it feels very empowering to be able to take these kind of steps, because you can see in real time the power that you possess. Okay, these billionaires want to call us the parasite class. Okay, maybe not all of them have said that. That's what Musk said specifically. But he wants to call us working class people the parasite class, when really we're the ones who create the billionaires by where we choose to spend our money. So just keep that in mind. We're not the parasites. Frankly, they are. They're the ones that get all kinds of government bailouts and handouts and everything else. They're the welfare class, as far as I'm concerned, because they also don't pay their fair share in taxes, which means that when they're stealing all of our taxpayer money, I mean, I can't think of how much more welfare queen you can get than that, frankly. But yeah, let's talk about Meta, because like I said, Zuckerberg is also, we already know we can't trust him with our personal information. How many times has Meta leaked our information? He's taken off a lot of like fact checking and different things in place in social media that that even anything with like DEI initiatives and stuff like that. Like, I can't with this man anymore. And especially after finding out about this, like, they went to these publishers and asked how much it would cost to buy the books to train their AI. And because it was too much for this billionaire to spend, he decided to just steal them. I don't know what's gonna be happening with that. I saw that video on Daniel Green's channel. I have not had a lot of time personally to deep dive it, but the video that Daniel Green made about it was very informative. I highly suggest you look it up, especially if you are an author or want to be an author someday. It's very relevant to you. And it's deeply disturbing, like I said. So all of this stuff. So I have also decided I'm going to be completely deleting Facebook and Instagram. Currently, the only reason I haven't is pretty much because I have like 20 something years of photos from like, family, pets, vacations, whatever, that I want to go through and save. And it's just a lot. But I'm working on that. And as soon as I possibly can, I will be completely done with both of those things. There is a way for you to turn off the ads on Facebook if you don't want to get rid of it yet. But another thing I want to throw out there is I think it's also going to be better for your mental health. I know in this kind of instance, and I've been talking about we need to come together and everything, which we do, but I don't think social media is the way. First off, you end up in an echo chamber, right, with the algorithms and everything. And if somebody who doesn't agree with you entirely does find your videos, nobody has ever changed their minds by having an argument in the comments of a Facebook post, right? Like, that's literally never changed anyone's minds. So it's, as far as I can see, it's useless, and it might just be stressing you out more because everyone's probably, at least in my feed, pretty much everyone I know is just posting constantly about everything that's going on and how effed we all are. So that's not really good for morale, as far as I can tell. Another thing that's very important to talk about, especially when we're talking about all this AI stuff, I'm sure y'all have noticed, I don't know exactly when this happened, but I think sometime in the last year or so, Google has been using AI. So anytime you search anything, AI will pull stuff out of the internet and then just give you a quick shortened version. I know that might seem more convenient at first, but if you really think about it, it's kind of messed up because that means that all of these other websites no longer get traffic to their websites because people are using Google and then they just like find the answer right there. So they don't even have to go to the actual website, which is also bad when you think about it because instead of going and reading the specific articles, people will just get like a condensed AI version. And sure, maybe AI gets certain information right or whatever, but the fact is I don't want a computer telling me what's true and what's not, frankly. Like a computer brain. I don't want to do that. I'd rather like read the articles myself or read what people are saying myself. And I think that that this kind of AI BS going on is really, it's not going to do favors for us when it comes to how truly ignorant so many people are in this country. And I don't mean that in like an offensive kind of way. Like the word ignorance is not actually an offensive term. It just means you really just don't know something. It's really that simple. Just to clarify. So I have decided to stop using Google on all my personal devices. One that I highly recommend is a new browser that I highly recommend is Ecosia, because every time you search something with Ecosia, they plant a tree. So they actually care about the environment. You can actually go back to old school methods of searching for stuff on the internet and read the actual articles or go to the actual websites yourself. So yeah, Ecosia, Ecosia. I would go there if I were you. And the final thing I wanted to say is I'm also in the process of changing banks. I have a couple things that I need to take care of first. Regardless, you can go to a credit union. A lot of people love credit unions, but I also wanted to give a shout out to Climate First Bank, because that's who I'm going to be switching to, because unlike a lot of the big banks in the world, Climate First actually puts the climate first and invests in this planet. And so that's kind of, before all this stuff started spiraling out of control, like my number one issue that I fight for has always been this planet. Because without a healthy planet, like literally just we're all effed, right? So that's my like number one issue. Now, unfortunately, I do have to shift focus a little bit and fight fascism for a while, because, nothing's going to get done until we can handle this problem. But yeah, I think that this combination of things has been personally making me feel incredibly empowered. It's been really cool and really inspiring to see, and providing hope of all things, to see in real time that the steps that we're taking, like we are the ones who have the power. And there are a lot of ways to fight this stuff, but I think when it comes to fighting oligarchy in particular, what better way than to hit these big companies, these billionaires, where it hurts, in their wallets. So that's really the gist of what I wanted to throw out there now. I feel like I always have so much more to say, especially these days when talking about these topics. But do take care of yourselves. One quick reminder, this Saturday, April 5th, there is a nationwide protest happening. It's called the Hands Off event. And that's going to look a little different depending on what your particular needs are wherever in the country. You do not have to go to a big city. There's going to be plenty of small cities. Even if you're in a little tiny town and there's just a handful of you that get together, it's absolutely like we need people to get out there and make their voices heard. And like, even if you're in a tiny little red town, the people seeing you speak out, like I'm going to make a whole separate video about protesting, because I've heard some people say there's no point in protesting, it doesn't really make a difference, and that's BS. It absolutely does, and I'm going to talk about it probably in my next video, because it's definitely a hot topic that I feel very passionately about. But please do show up if you can. If you can't, I've said before, I think I said in my last video, there are, some folks who cannot go out and march, but they might have other means. They might be able to stick near the phone in case something, God forbid, happens and somebody gets arrested for protesting. They can call up a lawyer, they can bail you out, whatever you are capable of doing, however you can pitch in, please, please do. This is the time to speak up. This is the time to take action, and, stay safe. I love you guys. Peace out.